little bit of patience there. Again, welcome to the live portion of the Forex Active Trader Program. It's nice to have everyone here. We do have some visitors tonight. Okay, so tonight, as you can see, we're going to, during the educational section, which is during the third hour of the segment, we're going to talk about what to do when price is not moving, which is actually a lot of what we've had today. It's been really, really tight. So there's going to be some helpful advice to keep in mind, where to look at and see what's going on with the market, how you know it's really not moving, things to keep in mind for that. And then activities to occupy yourself so that you don't make massive trading mistakes. So for instance, today I was I was only able to place 2 trades. One went for 43 pips, one went for about a minus 11 or 12. That's just the way it went. It's the type of market it is. Next week we will be talking about price projections on Monday, Tuesday, how to draw trend lines properly, and then Wednesday, I think there's been a couple emails, and if you have an email suggestion on what you would like to see talked about in the presentations, do let us know and send us an email on that. All right. Please remember there is risk involved in trading the Forex. As there is with any other financial instrument, please use protective stops and make good trading decisions. Also, please make sure you have your pen and paper, right? Because we have a lot of times somebody will say, well, I didn't get what you said right at that point earlier in the show, or they misunderstood it. Just write it down. If there's something that's interesting to you, or you're trying to figure out what's going on, you have a question, make sure that you write it down. And then there's several things that we've asked you to write down, and make sure that's in your trading notes. So it's good practice for that. Mr. Ging's asking if we can go to the dollar yen, and Paul says he agrees with John. So we will go to the dollar yen. Sure. Again, folks, if there's some pairs outside of our personal agenda here, as looking at what we think might be something important, if you have something you would like us to look at, make sure that you chat it in, right? Make sure that you please do chat that in. All right, let's take a look at this hourly chart on the dollar yen, and we're going to go ahead and bump that up. We're just going to take a look at it on a weekly basis and realize that we have, a nice declining triangle that's in here. And again, so many people have said, oh, the yen cannot go below this threshold on the dollar yen. I get emails about it all the time. It's just impossible. And that's just ridiculous, folks. There's just no other way to say it. It's just ridiculous to say something like that. Because what have we done when we said that it can't go below this level? Let me put sorry, I lost my mouse there. What are we saying when what's happening when we say it can't go below that level? Right. Right, Sean. We have a predisposition, and more importantly, we have a predisposition. We've decided. Yeah, Tammy, you said you're trying to control the market and you're trying to guess the market. Walter says you know what's going to happen next. Right. It's impossible. That's why I say it's ridiculous. Right. And so it goes to when you say that, that it can't go below that low. There's all these fundamental and economic reasons. Well, can it? Sure. Right. Absolutely sure. We've done this before. Look, back here in the 90s, it was. So it's already been there. And that's one big, fat, massive declining channel, isn't it, on that monthly chart? So it can go below those. The economies have survived when it's been lower. And I think more importantly, when we make that predisposition, then we have decided, like Tammy said, I think she said it, we're basically trying to control the market. And more importantly, if we're trying to do that, we're not listening to the right side of the chart. It's that simple. So please keep in mind that there's a lot of people saying, oh, this has to be the low. It doesn't have to be anything. What we have to do is listen to what's going on right here. So on the daily chart, we have our support and resistance levels. You can see it's battling with this support level. We have another one that's right down here. Is this a runway trade? To me, that's a little bit far, and I'll show you here. It's gone outside. It would be tight. Today would have to be an up day. There would have to be yen weakness, and then tomorrow I could make that decision. Right now, I'm going to say no. Right? And let's understand what's going on when we talk about this, because again, take what we're talking about, and you can always extrapolate that down to other time frames. Okay? So when we see a possible runway, or maybe something that says, okay, we have an up day, we're still going to have to wait for a trigger, even on the daily chart. And that might take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. So you can keep it on your eyes and say maybe there's a runway on the dollar yen, but don't bet the ranch on it, because as we said before, when the MOS gets here, there could be hundreds of more pips to run. So that's what the daily chart's telling us, and also that it's flirting with breaking this support level. So this area right in here is going to become important with the dollar yen. All right, so let's take this now down to a 4-hour chart. And you can see on the 4-hour chart, what do we have? Anything just come flying right up at you here? Right, Walter, we have a Mac Daddy trade coming in here. And we have the MOS all down in the extremes. Right down in here. Even though it's not nice and tight, it's still down here. Prices moved lower. We're playing with this support level we talked about. MACD's moved higher. We have a Mac Daddy trade. We could put a trend line on here, right? Yeah, it doesn't make too much sense. Right, there's not much symmetry to that. So this has the potential to turn up again. This is a 4-hour trade. Now, a very, very steep move that's happened here. And what should we remember? And again, I always reiterate myself over and over. Is a Mac Daddy any kind of divergence? Does that equal reversal? Does that equal reversal? No. Right. Everyone's getting that right. No. Equals pullback. Write that down in your notes. Mac Daddy equals pullback. Right? And as long as you keep that in your mind and you fund your trade, the times that it actually does equal a reversal, which is not the percentage of the time, then we'll leave some of that to run. Right? That's why we leave some on there to run. So we have potential for a pullback on the 4-hour chart here. We have some potential for that. Okay, so let's take a look at the 1-hour chart. Now, as we get into the 1-hour chart, remember how I said I really didn't like the trend line on the 4-hour? To me, this trend line should be here. That is definitely the slope of price over the last day and a half, 2 days. When we get into the 1-hour chart, there's nothing, right? There's nothing. There's no setup. MOS is ugly. Price is ugly. MACD's flat. It's got a little bit of curvature, but MACD's below the waterline. The MOS, there's nothing. Moving averages are not coming into play at all. Hey, Walter. It says, does the weak histogram mean anything on the 4-hour? Oh, on the 4-hour?